Well, thank you for coming in. I wanted to just say how much I appreciate you taking the time. I know you have a very busy schedule, and being able to just come and process a challenge in a safe place is always good. So I wanted to present this problem-solving activity for us to do together, and there's actually 5 steps. I'm going to ask you and to just let me know what's going on, and I'll list each one of those here. We'll identify one particular challenge, and then from there we'll brainstorm both realistic and unrealistic options, and then just process behaviorally what would it look like if you actually did go forward, and then develop, I'll ask you in the very last step, the encourage step, to develop a plan with a timeline, so that by the time you're finished, you'll have a product that you'll be able to take with you that will help you, organize your thoughts. A lot of times when you experience challenges, it's hard to organize because there's so many feelings tied to it. But before we begin, I wanted to start with the ground rules, and there are 4 basic ground rules. The first one is respect. That everything that you say, that you know that I respect you, and that it will be held in this place of respect. That this is itself a safe place for us to communicate, and I've just found this room as a place for us to meet. I know it's not fancy, but it's private, and then everything that you write will be held in confidence, so it's very confidential. There are only some times that we would break that confidence, and we would talk about that at those points. And the very last one is this whole activity is designed to create an independence. For you, that you would see that you're in control of everything that you're saying and everything that you're processing as we go forward. So having shared that with you, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, so let's start at the very beginning. What I'd like you to do, just think about listening to yourself and listing what are the challenges you're experiencing right now.
I guess my grades.
Okay.
And my family. And work.
Okay.
And final exams.
Okay. Is there anything else?
No.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that your grades and your family and work and your final are really the challenges that you're experiencing right now. Okay. So we'll take those as our entry into our activity. What I'd like you to do is identify one particular question that would become the focus for the remainder of the activity. So what might be that question?
I guess, what do my grades look like, and how did I do on my finals?
Okay. So then that becomes our focus for the remainder of the activity. We can talk about your family or other activity that's taking place another time, but right now we're just really going to focus on your grades and what they look like and how you did on your final. Okay, so let's start with brainstorming. What might be responses to that particular question?
Studying.
Okay.
Focusing on school.
Okay.
I could get help.
Okay.
Staying for tutoring.
Okay.
Turning in all my work.
Okay.
And then passing tests.
Okay. So what I hear you saying is that in response to your question, what are my grades like in finals and how did I do? One of your responses would be to study. Another would be focusing on school, for you to get help, and to stay for tutoring, to turn in your work, and for passing tests. Are there any that are unrealistic? They may be still good ideas, but they would be thoughts or options that you don't see yourself doing.
I guess staying for tutoring.
Okay.
It doesn't really fit my time schedule.
Okay. Is there any other one that you would want to eliminate?
No.
Okay. So what we want to do now is prioritize. We were going to prioritize these with the one that's the more likely investment. We'll place that as first, and then second and third from your best responses. So let's start with the first one.
The first one would be focusing on school.
Okay.
Then to turn in all my work.
Okay.
After that, it would be studying, then to get help, and to pass my tests.
Okay. Okay. So now what we want to do, very nice. You have both, just to review, you've brought forward both realistic and unrealistic. And even though staying for tutoring was a good idea, it really didn't fit your schedule, so we've eliminated that. So now let's move these 5 prioritized items over here to reality testing. Here we want to begin thinking about what that might look like behaviorally. Like, if, for example, your first one was to focus on school. If you're going to focus on school, what would that look like for you?
I wouldn't have time to talk on the phone.
Okay. Your second one was to turn in work.
I'd have to complete it all and then turn it into my teachers.
Okay. Study was your third one.
I'd have to ask my teachers and my friends for help.
Okay. And your fourth one was to get help.
I guess I would just have to get help by focusing on school.
Okay. And your fifth one talks about passing tests.
I should study and I should strive for at least a 70.
Okay. So up to this point, I've not asked you any actions. We talked about what kind of behavioral actions would be required, but I haven't asked you to develop a plan, right? Okay, so we've talked about what's going on, you've developed your question, and you've brainstormed options, eliminated those that are not realistic, and then you've prioritized behaviorally what those options might be. The purpose here is to, with the encouraged step, is to create steps that would be to your best solution. So it may involve some of this, but it may not. And then we'll create a timeline once you have your plan. But let's think about what would you be your very best solution or plan to accomplish the particular item that you've questioned, which is what are my grades like in finals and how did I do?
If I was going to set a goal, then I should at least try, if I was going to set a goal for myself to get a 70, then I might be willing to study more.
Okay, okay. So, so what I hear you saying is that if you were to set a goal for yourself of at least a 70, then you would be willing to study more. Okay, and if you were to set that goal, what kind of a timeline would you set for yourself?
Well, if I set the goal and if I don't meet the goal and then I fail, it's my fault because I didn't study.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like right now where you are is you're just still processing. You haven't really set, you're not really ready to set, you're just telling me that if you did set that goal for yourself, then you would have to be willing to study more. But if you did set the goal and you failed, then it would be your fault because you didn't study. So it sounds like you still really are thinking about what your steps are. But just because you're still processing doesn't mean that we can't offer ourselves a word of encouragement, because you have a lot of good thoughts here. If you were to offer yourself a word of encouragement, what would be that word of encouragement for having taken the time and energy to have written all that you shared with me?
Keep trying.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll stop here. I'll give this to you, and at the point that you want to move from this if, then that might be a time for you to think about what would be your best solution. It might be involving some of what you brainstormed a reality test, or it might be something different. But that allows you an opportunity to continue your processing of what you have on your mind. So thank you for coming in.